every single prepper group, every single patriot group in America must get this done specifically. Before we go operate anywhere, before we go invade a country, before some hot spot arises, what should good intelligence analysts have already done? What's the commander going to ask for first and foremost? Hey, what's your IPB product? Right? What's the most up-to-date information we have on this place? IPB focuses on both the physical terrain, which is extremely important, but also the human terrain. The human terrain is a buzzword that became very popular in Iraq and Afghanistan. It is just as important, if not more important, than physical terrain. Right? Who is who? Who influences the Taliban? Who are the thought leaders of the Taliban? Which imams in this village say the word and cause the Taliban to go on an offensive? Right? We identify those people, and we can start working towards mitigating their influence, diminishing their level of influence. Intelligence preparation of the battlefield has 5 steps. By the way, IPB is the Army process and Marine Corps process. I've modified it. I call it intelligence preparation of the community. But we all need to be going through these steps. I'll list them off briefly. We can talk about it more if we want. But I'm just going to finish up with IPB. If you have any questions, or start thinking of questions, and we can use these last few minutes to answer any questions you may have. Number 1 is define the battlefield environment. Okay? We're all going to have operational areas, whether it's our homestead or our farm or our community or our greater area. Right? We need to look at a map and say, okay, our force projection feasibly can cover this area, or we expect to have to operate in this area. Okay? Focus your IPB in that area first. Right? That's your area of operations, your AO. Outside of that, we have the AI, the area of interest. Right? They could include key intersections, critical infrastructure, defense, political, military, government, facilities, power plants, so on and so forth. Our area of interest is an area where we're really interested in, but it's not our primary focus. So after we define the battlefield environment, next we describe the battlefield's effects. What effects do the human terrain and the physical terrain exert both on us and the adversary? Right? How will physical terrain affect us? Right? I'm not going to want to get up in a full kit and charge up some of these hills. I need to look at the elevation and say, look, feasibly, my patrol squad whose average age is 35 years old or older is not going to be able to get up some of these hills in full kit. That's absolutely an effect, and I need to take that into consideration. The next thing that describing the battlefield's effects does for us is it helps us to plot avenues of approach. Right? If the Leroy Jenkins gang, if some drifter, if some stranger is going to approach my homestead, what are the lines of drift? Right? What is the easiest way? What's the path of least resistance for him to get from Highway 60 to my house? Right? We identify those areas, and maybe we conduct surveillance on them. Okay, maybe we put a camera up. Maybe we put up an observation post. Right? So it takes one man on a 12-hour shift every 24 hours to secure this whole area. Okay? If we put our OPs out far enough, we're going to be able to identify them before they get in the danger zone. Right? We can get a QRF team, or we can get a patrol out there to check it out. After we describe the battlefield's effects, we're going to do our threat analysis, right? Analysis of the threats. Who is coming? What resources do they have available to them? What are their assets? And based on that, which avenues of approach can they take? Right? So we do a threat analysis. All right? The final step is develop enemy courses of action, COA. All right? We've identified all the potential avenues of approach. We've identified all their available assets. Based on that information, based on what we know about the threat, in what direction is he most likely to come from? Okay? If you live north of Atlanta, the major threat will be coming from the south. Okay? One interesting thing that I learned about Atlanta that I didn't know, again, this is just what I heard, I'll pass it on for the benefit of others, is that during an emergency, Atlanta is going to turn all inbound lanes outbound. Right? There will be no traffic going to Atlanta. Everything will be going out. All right? So if you live in the vicinity of Atlanta, it's pretty important to know. That's part of describing the battlefield's effects. So we identify enemy courses of action. What are they most likely to do? We have the ML-COA. Oh, this is not too much jargon for anyone. COA is course of action. All right, so we have the ML-COA, most likely course of action. And we have the most dangerous course of action, ML-COA and MD-COA. At a minimum, we need to identify both of those. All right, and what direction is the adversary most likely to come from? All right, and then finally, what's the most dangerous of all his available options? All right. This is IPB in 5 minutes.